You ever have one of those moments where time slows down and you feel like you're watching your life shift, even if you can't explain why? That's what it felt like the night I saw her at the bar. I wasn't supposed to be there. Honestly, I wasn't even planning on going out. My coworker Eric had dragged me along after a late meeting wrapped up. "Come on, man," he said. "One beer won't kill you." It was a quiet little bar tucked in near the edge of downtown, close to where we'd booked rooms for an early client presentation. No frills. Dim lighting. Soft music. Booths worn down by time. The kind of place you go to blend in, not stand out. We grabbed a table near the corner. Nothing fancy. Ordered a couple IPAs and just talked shop. It was background noise until I saw her. Emily. She was at the bar, maybe 20 feet away, lit up in soft amber light like a scene from a movie I never agreed to be in. Her back was to me at first, but I knew that silhouette like the back of my hand. It wasn't just the way she stood. It was her presence. Poised. Confident. A little overdressed for a Tuesday, if I'm honest. Black dress. Heels. Hair down. She looked deliberate. She wasn't alone. There was a man next to her. Tall, sharply dressed, the kind of guy who looks like he closes deals over martinis. He leaned in as he spoke, and she leaned in too, like gravity pulled her toward him. And then she laughed. Not just a polite laugh. The kind where her head tilted back slightly, and her hand touched his forearm like it belonged there. I didn't say anything to Eric. Didn't move. I just sat there and watched, feeling like I'd suddenly forgotten how to breathe. I told myself maybe it wasn't her. Maybe I was seeing things. But then she turned slightly, enough for me to catch a glimpse of her face in profile, and there was no doubt. It was her. My wife. I watched her for maybe 10 minutes. I didn't hear a single word they said. But I didn't need to. Her body language said more than enough. The way she touched his hand casually. The way her knees angled toward him as they sat. The way she looked at him. Not just looking, but seeing him like she was tuned into his frequency. That used to be me. She never saw me. I made sure of that. I didn't storm over. Didn't confront her. I just paid the tab and told Eric I wasn't feeling great. He didn't press. I went back to my hotel room and sat in silence for what felt like hours. My phone buzzed once, her name on the screen. "Hope your meeting went okay. Home's quiet without you." Quiet, right? I didn't reply. The next day I drove home early. Beat traffic, skipped the coffee stop. I didn't even know what I was planning to say. Confront her? Pretend I didn't see it? Wait for her to come clean? I wasn't sure. When I walked through the door, she was in the kitchen, humming to herself. Pancakes on the stove. She looked up and smiled like everything was perfectly normal. "You're home early," she said, flipping a pancake like nothing had happened. "That meeting get canceled?" "No," I said. "I left after." "Everything okay?" she asked, and for a moment, I swear I saw something flicker behind her eyes. Something unsure, calculating, but it vanished as fast as it appeared. I nodded. Just tired. We didn't talk much that day. I couldn't stop thinking about it. How she touched that guy's hand. How she looked at him like he was the center of her world. I couldn't shake the image. So that night I finally brought it up. I waited until we were getting ready for bed. She was brushing her teeth, and I was sitting on the edge of the mattress, trying to find the right words. "Hey," I said, "were you at a bar last night?" She froze for half a second, a beat too long, then rinsed and spat like it was nothing. "Bar? Oh, yeah. I met a client for drinks." "Why? What bar?" I asked even though I already knew. She looked at me in the mirror. "Pritchard's, I think." "Why?" "I saw you there," I said. "I was at the other end of the room." Her expression didn't change much, but her shoulders tensed just slightly. Another flicker. She turned, leaning against the counter with her arms folded. "You didn't say hi? You were busy." "With work?" she said sharply, like the word itself was a defense. "I'm sure," I said quietly. "Didn't look like work." Her lips tightened. "What's that supposed to mean?" I met her eyes. "The way you were laughing," touching his hand. You didn't look like two people talking about quarterly projections." She scoffed. "Wow. Okay. So now you're spying on me?" "You were right there, Emily." "And what?" she said, voice rising. "You saw me talking to a man and just decided I was cheating on you?" "I didn't say that," I replied, even though that's exactly what I'd been thinking since last night. She paced away from the sink and back. "You have no idea what that meeting was about. I was trying to land a contract we've been chasing for 3 months. I'm literally doing my job, and you decide to twist it into something dirty?" "I'm not twisting anything," I said. "I'm just telling you what I saw." "No, Mark. You're accusing. There's a difference." She was on the offensive now. Arms crossed, chin lifted like I was the one who owed her an explanation. That was her gift. Turning the tables. Always so good at making me the problem. "You're overthinking this," she said. "It was harmless. A handshake. A joke. That's all." "A handshake doesn't usually last that long." She rolled her eyes. "So now you're timing my interactions?" "I'm not stupid, Emily." She went quiet then. Her jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought she might finally admit something, even just a hint of truth. But instead, she took a breath and said, "You've always had trust issues. This is just another example. You see what you want to see." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. She'd flipped it so fast. Turned my gut instinct, my hurt, into some character flaw. Like I was broken for caring. "You're making me feel like a criminal for doing my job," she added, voice calm now. "Measured. Practiced. If you can't handle me talking to people, maybe you should think about why that is." And that was it. No apology. No, "I'm sorry if it looked bad." Just a subtle accusation. Like the issue wasn't what I saw, but that I had the nerve to see it in the first place. I didn't sleep that night. She fell asleep quickly, at least she pretended to. Her breathing was too even, her posture too perfect. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I kept replaying the scene in the bar. The laughter, the touch, the closeness. The version of her I saw that night wasn't the woman lying next to me now. Or maybe it was, and I just never noticed. And that's what stuck with me. That chill in my spine. The realization that what I saw wasn't just a weird moment. It was a version of her I hadn't wanted to believe existed. She wanted me to forget it, to swallow it down and move on. Pretend it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was the first crack in the glass. A fact she tried to dismiss. A truth she shoved under the rug and told me not to look at. But I did. And I wasn't going to forget it. It's strange how you can live with someone for years and still miss what's right in front of you. After that night at the bar, the night she tried to rewrite what I saw, something in me shifted. I didn't explode. I didn't accuse her again. I didn't press the issue. I just watched. Quietly. Deliberately. Because once the first crack appears, you start noticing the others. And when you start looking, really looking, you realize just how much you've been ignoring. There were the obvious things, the ones that clicked right away. Her phone had been face down for months, maybe longer. Always on silent. Always clutched to her side like a lifeline. I used to think nothing of it. Maybe she just didn't want distractions. But now it looked different. Now it looked like hiding. Then there were the girls' nights. The ones that started popping up more often. Scheduled with very little notice. She'd walk out the door in heels and a tight dress. Hair perfect. Perfume just strong enough to linger in the air after she left. I used to think, she deserves a night out. But I started noticing details, tiny ones. Like how she never mentioned names. Or how the photos she used to take with her friends stopped appearing on social media. No tags, no stories, no group sh*ts. Just nothing. And then the money. Emily had always been smart with finances. Frugal, even. But over the past few months, she'd started using cash a lot more. I didn't think much of it at first. It's easy to miss that kind of thing when bills are getting paid and everything seems normal. But one afternoon, while I was grabbing something from her car, I found a folded receipt tucked into the side panel of the door. It was from a restaurant across town. 2 entrees, 2 drinks. A late dinner on a weeknight. She said she'd stayed late at work. She didn't mention dinner. It wasn't even the meal that bothered me. It was the lie. The fact that she hadn't mentioned it, hadn't said a word. Just slipped it into her routine and counted on me not to ask questions. And she was right. I hadn't. The little things piled up fast. She developed new habits almost overnight. A new gym bag suddenly showed up, but I never saw her actually go to the gym. A different scent on her, something spicy, unfamiliar. Her hair products changed. Her makeup routine adjusted. At first, I chalked it up to self-care. But that's the thing. She wasn't showing up for us anymore. She was showing up for someone. Just not me. She also started avoiding shared routines. We used to cook dinner together, even if it was just frozen pizza and a bottle of wine. That stopped. Now she'd eat before I got home. Say she wasn't hungry, or claim she had already eaten at work. There was a distance in her, a kind of polite disengagement, like we were roommates passing in a hallway. I started noticing her phone lighting up late at night. Once, I watched the screen light up at 11:47 p.m. with a name I didn't recognize. J. Just an initial. She flipped the phone over so fast it was almost comical. "Oh," she said, not looking up. "Work stuff." At midnight, I didn't respond. I just watched her slip deeper into that carefully crafted narrative. So sure she could keep pulling the strings without getting caught. And then there was dessert. I know it sounds like a dumb thing to get fixated on, but it hit me harder than it should have. Out of nowhere, Emily started buying these little lemon tarts from a bakery downtown. She'd bring them home like some casual treat. "You have to try this," she'd say, smiling. "They're so good. Only I hate lemon." She knows that. Always has. The first time I just shrugged it off. "Not really my thing," I said. She blinked. "Right? Forgot." But she didn't forget. She never forgot things like that. She used to tease me for being the chocolate or nothing guy. We joked about it on our honeymoon when we split a dessert and she took the lemon half. So why bring home lemon tarts? Why keep buying them? She wasn't buying them for me. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just a phase or a misunderstanding. It wasn't about stress or disconnection. It was a pattern. And that pattern had a shape and it wasn't built for two. I started playing memories back in my mind like puzzle pieces I'd thrown into the wrong box. Late nights. Quick showers the moment she got home. Lingerie I hadn't seen in months, suddenly washed and tucked away. A new playlist on her Spotify full of songs I didn't recognize. One of them, some moody acoustic track, had a line in the lyrics that repeated, "You make me forget who I am." It was her most played song. She hadn't kissed me in weeks. When I touched her, her body flinched. Not like she was scared, but like she was somewhere else entirely. Absent. Disconnected. Her hugs were loose. Her eyes avoided mine. Even when she smiled, there was something hollow in it. And yet, she was always texting. Always smiling at her phone, then quickly locking it when I walked into the room. I'd walk by her in the living room, and she'd tilt the screen away. Casual, like it meant nothing. But I'd already started to recognize the signs. That tilt? That reflex? It was learned. It wasn't about protecting herself, it was about protecting him. One night, I asked her about the lemon tarts again just to see what she'd say. "You really like these, huh?" I said, taking one out of the fridge. She smiled too quickly. "They remind me of this bakery near the office. There's a guy who brings them in sometimes." I just got hooked. "A guy?" I asked. She hesitated. "Yeah, just one of the sales reps. James. He's always bringing in treats." James. J. The dots connected so fast I nearly felt dizzy. My stomach dropped. I kept my face neutral, but my mind was screaming. The guy from the bar? Maybe, maybe not. But the truth was, it didn't matter. Whoever he was, he wasn't just a name. He wasn't just a sales rep. He was in her orbit now, in her routine, in her text history, probably in her thoughts. And I wasn't. It was like watching my life from outside a glass wall. I could see everything, touch nothing. The woman I married was still in the house, still drinking coffee from our shared mugs, still folding towels into the same neat little squares. But emotionally, She was gone. There were times I wanted to convince myself I was being paranoid, that I was spiraling into suspicion without cause. But every time I tried to pull back, something new would happen. A lie that didn't land quite right. An excuse that felt too polished. A change in behavior that came with no context. All of it lining up into a shape I could no longer ignore. I wasn't crazy. I was waking up. And as I looked back on the past few months, the changes, the distance, the carefully constructed deflections, I realized something painful and undeniable. This had been going on longer than I thought. The bar wasn't the beginning. It was just the first time I saw it. There's a point where suspicion stops being a feeling and turns into certainty. I crossed that line the night I found the phone. It happened by accident, or at least that's what I tell myself. I was looking for a charger in the drawer beside her nightstand. Mine had stopped working, and I remembered she kept an extra one there. When I pulled the drawer open, I saw it tucked beneath a folded scarf. A second phone. Older model. No case. Powered off. My heart didn't race. It slowed. That kind of slow, heavy calm that only comes when the answer finally presents itself. I didn't turn it on right away. I just sat there, staring at it, feeling like I was holding something radioactive. Emily was in the shower, water running, steam creeping under the bathroom door. She had no idea her secret was sitting in my hands. When I powered it on, there was no lock screen, no password, like it was never meant to be found, but also never meant to be used carefully. Messages popped up immediately. One name dominated the screen. James. The threads were short but frequent. Hotel names, times, room numbers. Little confirmations like, same place as last time, and already checked in. No romance, no guilt, just logistics, routine, efficient. That hurt more than anything else. I checked the call log. Dozens of calls. Always during work hours. Always ending before she got home. I opened the photo gallery, half hoping it would be empty. It wasn't. No explicit photos. No dramatic poses. Just quiet proof. A mirror selfie in a hotel bathroom. Her reflection. That black dress from the bar. Another photo, his shoes on a patterned carpet. Another, her hand holding a keycard. I set the phone back exactly where I found it. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started paying attention to dates. Cross-referencing messages with her calendar. Business trips. Late meetings. Client dinners. Every hotel name from the messages matched a time she'd been out of town or working late. I booked a room at one of the hotels listed. Same chain. Same layout. Same everything. A week later, she said she had an overnight meeting. I nodded, helped her pack, kissed her goodbye like a fool playing a role he no longer believed in. Then I followed her. I stayed far back, parked across the street, watched her walk into the hotel without hesitation. Heels clicking against marble like she'd done it 100 times before. She didn't check her phone, didn't look around. She walked straight to the desk, smiled, and took a key. A few minutes later, I followed. I didn't go to the desk. I didn't need to. I waited by the elevators. When they opened again, she stepped out with him. James. Same man from the bar. Same watch. Same casual confidence. He put a hand on her lower back as they walked. She didn't flinch. Didn't hesitate. She leaned into it like it belonged there. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. They walked down the hall together. He unlocked the door. She stepped inside first. Routine. That was the word that broke me. No sneaking. No nerves. No hesitation. This wasn't an accident or a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was a system. A second life running parallel to mine, cleanly separated and carefully maintained. I stood there long after the door closed. There was no denial left. No room for interpretation. No alternate explanation she could twist into something harmless. I had seen it with my own eyes, the same way I'd seen her at the bar. Only this time, there was no way for her to talk her way out of it. I went home and slept in my clothes. She texted me the next morning. Meeting went late. I'll be home tonight. Miss you. I didn't reply. Instead, I copied everything from the phone. Screensh asterisk ts. Call logs. Photos. Dates. Locations. I backed it up twice. Saved it to a drive she didn't know existed. And then I waited. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because I wanted to be absolutely sure there was nothing left to discover. There wasn't. The affair wasn't new. It wasn't impulsive. It was built on repetition, familiarity, and confidence. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she'd been doing it long enough to stop feeling afraid. That was the moment I stopped feeling angry, because anger means hope, and there was none left. People assume that the moment you catch someone cheating, there's yelling, crying, something dramatic. But the truth is, once I had the proof, I didn't feel rage. I felt focused, cold. There was no energy left for theatrics. She'd drained that from me long ago, so I didn't explode. I started planning, the same way she had. I knew if I confronted her too soon, she'd spin it, twist every fact into confusion, force some half-baked apology I didn't ask for. She'd nice guilt. Turn my evidence into misunderstandings. And I didn't want a confession. I wanted consequences. So I began erasing myself. First, I opened a new checking account. One she didn't know about. I transferred small amounts, nothing that would trip alarms. Just enough each time to go unnoticed. I updated my paycheck routing. Rerouted my statements. Over the course of a few weeks, my financial life quietly shifted out from under her reach. Then I started pulling things from the house. Slowly, deliberately. Important documents first: birth certificate, passport, my old journals. The watch my dad left me. A box of family photos she never cared about. My laptop. My backup drives. She never noticed. Or if she did, she didn't say anything. I found a small storage unit 20 minutes outside of town. Cash only. No paper trail. I put my things there one load at a time. Early mornings or late evenings when she was working late or running errands. I kept it simple. Essentials only. I wasn't leaving furniture or shared items. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted clarity. A reset. Next came the accounts. I changed every password tied to my name: banking, phone, insurance. Anything she could use. I set up two-factor authentication on everything. Rerouted all mail to a P.O. box. Canceled our joint streaming services. Signed up for new ones under my name. Deleted our shared grocery list. Sounds small, but it meant something. I was done building anything with her. Then I looked at the house. It was legally mine. Bought it with my inheritance before we got married. We'd added her to the title a year into the marriage, but I never took her name off the paperwork that proved I'd paid for it in full. I checked the deed. Checked the documents. Spoke to a lawyer. Quietly, he confirmed what I'd suspected. She had a claim, but a weak one. So I prepped the house too. I started clearing out the garage. Not with boxes, but with intent. Everything that was mine got labeled, moved, secured. I began digitally logging items room by room, noting which were marital property and which weren't. I inventoried everything I cared about. I even made a list of what I'd leave behind. She could have the dining table, the blender, the guest towels she loved, the books she never read but displayed for clout. Let her have the framed quotes about loyalty and love that now read like cruel jokes. Meanwhile, she kept playing her role. Client dinner tonight. Running late at the office. I'm so tired. Can we skip date night? She was detached but still pretending. Still trying just enough to keep me pacified. She probably thought she had me where she wanted me. Obedient, dull, comfortable. A safe fallback. She had no idea. I watched her walk through the house like it was hers, tossing her heels on the carpet, leaving her wine glass by the sink, whispering into her phone in the bathroom with the fan running. She thought I didn't see, but I saw everything. I started keeping a journal, not of my feelings, but of facts. Dates, names, timestamps, a meticulous log of every movement she didn't know I tracked. It wasn't about being petty. It was about being prepared. I didn't want to fight. I wanted finality. And when I was ready, I took it one step further. I created a folder, physical and digital. Every photo, text thread, receipt, timestamp, screenshot *TS of messages from the burner phone, photos of her and James entering the hotel, records of calls. I printed everything, indexed it, labeled it like evidence in a trial. Then I made 3 copies. One for me, one for my lawyer, one for her boss. Because as it turns out, James wasn't just some random guy. He was a senior executive at her company. And their business trips? Funded by the firm. Their hotel stays? Charged to corporate cards. I dug deeper, looked into company policies, found the clause that could end both their careers if misconduct affected the company. She hadn't just betrayed me, she jeopardized her job. She never imagined I'd go this far. But betrayal isn't just personal. Sometimes it's professional. And when someone uses company funds to fund an affair, people start asking questions. I waited for the right moment. I picked a Thursday. She was heading out for a conference that weekend. 3 nights away. Same hotel as usual. Same story. She packed like nothing was wrong. Kissed me goodbye like she meant it. Waved as she drove off. That night, I stripped our bedroom. I took the framed photos off the wall. The ones of our wedding, our trip to Maine, her college degree. I packed her things into boxes. Carefully, not spitefully. I labeled them clearly. I left the room empty except for the folder sitting on her side of the bed. When she came home 3 days later, the house didn't feel like home anymore. The living room was bare. The photos were gone. My keys weren't on the hook. The kitchen drawer where we kept shared receipts and bills was empty. The silence was sharp. She walked upstairs, calling my name once. Then again. She found the bedroom. She found the boxes. And then she found the folder. I don't know what she did next. I wasn't there. I was already gone. You always think it's just between the two of you. That when someone cheats, the damage stays within the walls of your marriage. That's what I believed for a while. But once I stepped back and looked at everything she'd risked, I realized the ripple effects were already in motion. When I walked away, I didn't just vanish. I made sure the truth didn't vanish with me. The second copy of the folder, the one I'd prepared for her company, went out that same day. Clean, professional packet. No theatrics. Just facts. Dates. Screenshot *TS. Photographs. Time-stamped emails. Hotel invoices billed to the company. Meetings that never existed. Conferences that weren't real. I sent it directly to HR. Addressed it to someone I knew by name, someone she'd mentioned over dinner once. The kind of small, careless detail people don't realize can come back around. I didn't add commentary. No accusations. No angry letters. Just documentation. Let the paper speak. At first, I didn't expect anything to happen. Companies like that usually bury things, especially when the people involved are high up. I figured maybe they'd ignore it, or maybe she and James would get a slap on the wrist and walk away smug, unbothered. I was wrong. It only took 5 days. Day 1, silence. Day 2, she called me. I didn't answer. Day 3, she emailed. Subject line just read, "Please." I didn't open it. Day 4, silence again. Then came day 5. I got a call from a blocked number. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, a second call. I picked up half out of habit. "Mark?" a man's voice asked. "Yes. This is Brian Keller. I work with Emily." "Well, I guess I did." I said nothing. "I don't know what you sent in, but they're cleaning house." Turns out, HR didn't ignore the folder. They launched an internal review immediately. Quietly. Discreetly. I later learned that they interviewed her the morning after she got home from the trip. She denied everything. Of course she did. But the evidence made that impossible to maintain. James was questioned next. His response? He lawyered up. That was their first mistake. Because when someone innocent is accused, they deny. When someone guilty is cornered, they deflect or hide. And hiding is what James did. The firm didn't take kindly to that. From what I was told, they found even more once they started digging. Expenses that had nothing to do with work. Room service charges. Spa treatments. A second phone line charged to a client acquisition budget. They traced the receipts. matched signatures, timestamps. It all unraveled fast. And when James fell, he dragged Emily down with him. They were both placed on unpaid leave. Pending investigation, the official statement read. That same week, their names were scrubbed from the company's leadership directory. It didn't stop there. 2 of her co-workers, people I didn't even know, reached out. One by text, one through LinkedIn of all places. The first wrote, "I'm sorry. I had a feeling something was off for a long time, but I never wanted to assume. No one deserves what happened to you." The second was more direct. "She was reckless. Everyone saw it. We just didn't want to be the ones to say something. I hope you find peace." The fact that others knew, had seen signs, had whispered behind closed doors, only made it worse. She hadn't just fooled me. She tried to play an entire office. But reality doesn't play fair. Within 2 weeks, she was terminated. The official reason? Violation of professional ethics and company policy. I saw the letter. Someone forwarded it anonymously. James was let go too. A decade of climbing the ladder, gone in a month. I didn't celebrate. I wasn't after revenge. But I wasn't going to protect someone who never protected me. I started hearing about her fallout from friends. One mutual acquaintance texted me, asking, "Did something happen with Emily?" She deleted all her accounts. I told him nothing, but I already knew the answer. Her LinkedIn was gone. Instagram wiped. Facebook deactivated. She vanished digitally the same way I'd vanished physically. The image she built, career woman, successful partner, curated posts about balance and empowerment, it collapsed overnight. Her social circle shifted too. People stopped reaching out to her. They unfollowed, uninvited, muted. You don't need to be loud to be clear. Silence does the job just fine. And then, the part that hit me hardest. Her parents reached out to me. I hadn't spoken to them in months. Not since Christmas, when we all sat around the same table pretending things were fine. Her mom called first. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mark," she said quietly. "I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't angry at them. They'd welcomed me like a son. Sent birthday cards. Asked about work, life plans. "She won't talk to us," her mom said. "She says it's complicated. But I know that if you left, it wasn't nothing." "It wasn't," I said. "But it's over now." A pause. Then, "If you ever need anything, just know we're still here." I thanked her, and that was that. I never heard from Emily. Not directly. She didn't beg. She didn't apologize. She disappeared. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was shame. Or maybe she finally realized that some things don't get cleaned up with a well-rehearsed lie. I moved forward. Started selling the house. It took time, months of paperwork, cleaning, decisions. I kept what mattered. Gave away the rest. Every drawer I emptied felt like breathing room. Every wall I stripped felt lighter. By the time I handed over the keys, it didn't feel like my home anymore. It felt like a chapter I'd finished reading long ago. I moved to a new city, new apartment, new job, same field but different coast. Somewhere quiet, near the ocean. I started running again, something I hadn't done in years. I didn't do it to escape. I did it because I finally had the energy to move forward. Word about her and James reached me now and then. Friends who couldn't help themselves. Gossip finds you whether you ask or not. Apparently, he left the state too. Rumor was he'd tried to get hired at a smaller firm, but someone on the hiring committee had seen the folder. Poetic. As for her, last I heard, she was staying with a relative. No job, no posts, no contact, just quiet, like the echo after something breaks. And still, people ask me, "Do you miss her?" That's a hard question. I miss who I thought she was. But the woman who walked into that hotel room, who laughed like nothing mattered, who lied without blinking, that woman? I don't know her. I never did. Weeks later, I got an unmarked envelope in my new mailbox. No return address. Inside were photos, grainy but real. Emily alone in our old house. But the angles weren't from security cameras. They were taken from outside windows, sometimes from the woods behind the property. Some dated months before I ever suspected the affair. Someone had been watching her, closely, quietly, obsessively. Not me, not James. A third person. Someone else had known all along, possibly before I did. And whoever they were, they'd been documenting her every move. I didn't know what scared me more, the affair itself or the idea that Emily had been part of something deeper. Something she might not have even realized until it was too late. This wasn't just infidelity. It was surveillance. And suddenly, it felt like I'd only uncovered one layer of something far more dangerous. The house sold fast. I forwarded her remaining things to her parents. What little she hadn't taken. I didn't leave a note. I moved states, changed my name on documents, deleted every trace of her from my life. She tried once to reach out, an email, a voicemail. I didn't answer. Her reputation, her job, her comfort, all gone. And all because one night, in a dim bar, she thought no one was watching. But I was, quiet, still, already making my decision. People think betrayal is a moment. It's not. It's a series of choices, built brick by brick until the whole house caves in. She never thought the consequences would stretch this far. But when the damage spreads beyond the marriage, there's no going back. No fixing it. No return. Just silence. And the memory of the man sitting nearby, watching, already walking away in his mind.